4 generations stand shoulder to shoulder, father, son, grandfather, and great-grandfather, captured in 1970 New Guinea by photographer Irving Penn. Each face tells a lifetime of resilience and heritage, frozen in a single frame from his hauntingly intimate series Worlds in a Small Room, A. In this picture, you can see Winnebago Ho-Chunk men overlooking the Wisconsin Dells in 1925, land their ancestors knew long before tourists and resorts. The cliffs, the river, the wind are witnesses. A quiet claim of presence, endurance, and memory that never left. Black Wolf, a Cheyenne dog soldier, stands with quiet defiance in this rare photo. The dog soldiers were elite warriors, defenders of their people during one of the harshest times in Native history. His gaze isn't just stoic, it's a silent challenge to the world that tried to erase him. In 1902, the knife grinders of Thiers, France, many just boys, labored barefoot and shirtless in cramped stone workshops. Working long hours hunched over grinding wheels, they inhaled metal dust daily. These were the hidden craftsmen behind France's famed cutlery, sacrificing health for sharp precision. March 8, 1941. A soldier kisses his wife goodbye on a Sydney street as World War II rages on. But it's the small cat, Bobby, sitting at their feet and gazing up, that makes this moment unforgettable. In a world at war, it's this silent witness that adds a quiet, haunting tenderness. April 11th, 1914, Ian Turner, a fiery member of the Industrial Workers of the World, addresses a crowd in Union Square, New York. With clenched fists and a determined gaze, he stood for labor rights in a time of deep inequality. His voice echoed the unrest of a working class demanding change. Amid the lifeless ruins of Hiroshima, just 4 months after the atomic bomb, a Japanese mother and child sit silently in traditional clothing. Captured in December 1945 by Alfred Eisenstein, the image freezes a haunting stillness, grief, survival, and unimaginable loss woven into their posture. In 1934, a young Lucille Ball sits in her dressing room, carefully applying makeup before a performance. Long before I Love Lucy made her a household name, she was grinding through the early days of showbiz. This quiet moment captures the hustle behind the humor and the woman behind the legend.
Captured in 1967, this powerful photo, titled The Kiss of Life, shows utility worker J.D. Thompson giving mouth to his unconscious colleague, Randall G. Champion, after he touched a low-voltage wire dangling high above the ground. This life-saving act became an iconic symbol of courage, humanity, and instinctive heroism. A British soldier winces in pain as a nurse administers a rough injection along the Russian front. The setting is cold, tense, and brutal. Medical aid was often improvised, and painkillers were scarce. This raw moment reflects the harsh conditions and the human cost of war felt far from the battlefield. Amid the rubble of a shattered Warsaw street, a Polish mother clutches her child tightly. The Luftwaffe's brutal bombing raids had just begun their terror campaign across Europe. Her silent stare says more than words ever could. War had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. With soot-stained faces and hardened eyes beyond their years, 3 young coal breaker boys paused to smoke during a brutal shift in Pennsylvania. likely between 10 and 12 years old. They worked grueling hours in dangerous conditions, childhood traded for survival in America's industrial age. In this rare 1903 photo, Mark Twain stands beside John T. Louisa, formerly enslaved man, trusted friend, and the real-life inspiration for Jim in Huckleberry Finn. Their bond defied the racial norms of the era, rooted in deep respect and shared history that shaped one of America's most iconic novels. Dressed in their finest suits, these African-American boys pose proudly on Easter morning in Southside Chicago, April 1941. Their confident stance and radiant smiles capture a powerful moment of dignity, joy, and cultural pride amidst the harsh realities of segregation-era America. In the 1930s, urban parents used these strange wire baby cages to give their children fresh air in cramped apartments. Suspended from windows, they dangled high above busy streets. It looks shocking today, but back then it was seen as modern parenting air, sunlight, and danger in one. Captured in 1896, these university students gather at Flustrit's restaurant in Uppsala, Sweden, chatting, smoking, and sharing drinks in a scene that feels both elegant and mischievous. Their youthful energy lingers, frozen in time, as if their laughter still echoes across the wooden tables. In 1958, Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama. Pivotal moment captured by photojournalist Charles Moore. Yet defiant. King's expression reveals the quiet strength behind his mission. This image became a symbol of dignity under pressure, immortalizing the face of nonviolent resistance. Captured in 1914, this rare photograph shows Tsar Nicholas II with his wife Alexandra and their 5 children, just before the storm of revolution. Clad in royal attire, yet surrounded by subtle tension, the Romanovs appear unaware that this calm family moment would soon give way to the tragic collapse of an empire. In this 1906 portrait, Grand Duchess Maria of Russia, daughter of Tsar Nicholas II, sits with an air of innocence and quiet grace. Just a child here, she had no idea that her royal world would vanish within a decade. Her soft gaze contrasts with the dark fate that awaited the Romanov family in the years to come. With icy focus and deadly precision, Rosa Shanina became one of the Soviet Union's most feared snipers during World War II. Known for her unmatched accuracy, she recorded over 50 confirmed kills before dying in battle at just 20. Her bravery turned her into a symbol of female strength on the Eastern Front. With a steely gaze and unmatched precision, Lyudmila Pavlichenko became the most successful female sniper in history. Credited with 309 confirmed kills during World War II, she struck fear into German forces. Even under fire, she remained calm, a legend forged in the chaos of war. In 1965, Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, posed proudly with his sleek Matra bonnet Jet VS Coupe. This futuristic French sports car was a fitting match for the Soviet cosmonaut, symbolizing speed, innovation, and the thrill of pushing beyond Earth's limits. A hero on the ground and beyond.
The year is 1935, and the Moscow Metro opens its doors for the very first time. These inaugural passengers step into a world of polished marble, chandeliers, and Stalinist grandeur. More than just a subway, it was a symbol of Soviet progress transportation built to impress the world underground.
dressed in crisp uniforms with bows in their hair. These young gymnasium girls of Imperial Russia posed between 1900 and 1917. Their stern expressions reveal the strict discipline of elite education at the time. Most would witness their world collapse with the Russian Revolution just years later. In this serene 1913 portrait, Tsarina Alexandra sits beside her four daughters Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, gracefully dressed in white. They appear royal, yet relatable, unaware of the revolution looming ahead. Within 5 years, this imperial family would become a tragic symbol of a fallen dynasty. In this 1954 photo from a Moscow car factory, a young worker stands beside his supervisor, both framed by the towering machinery of Soviet industry. There's pride in their posture, unity in their gaze, capturing a moment when labor was glorified as the backbone of the socialist dream. But behind the steel, pressure brewed silently. This late 19th century photo from the Ekaterinburg region shows a Russian family standing firm against the Siberian cold. Dressed in layered garments, their faces are marked by hardship and resilience. Life here was harsh and remote, yet family remained the unshakable center of survival and identity in Imperial Russia. Yekaterina Ryabova, captured here in 1945, was one of the fearless night witches, female Soviet pilots, who flew bombing missions under the cover of darkness. Despite flying wooden planes with no radar or parachutes, she became a symbol of Soviet bravery, earning the title Hero of the Soviet Union for her unwavering courage. In this 1913 photo, two titans of chess, José Raúl Capablanca of Cuba and Alexander Alekhine of Russia, face off in an early encounter. Their intense rivalry would later define an era of world chess championships. This quiet moment masks the brewing storm of intellect that would shape chess history. Captured in 1945 atop the Reichstag in Berlin, this iconic image shows a Soviet soldier triumphantly waving the USSR flag, marking the fall of Nazi Germany. The scene, shrouded in smoke and rubble, symbolized both victory and devastation, the brutal climax of World War II in Europe. With fierce eyes and wind-swept hair, Lydia Litviak poses beside her fighter plane in 1941. Known as the White Lily of Stalingrad, she became one of the most celebrated female aces in World War II. Her daring missions and ultimate sacrifice made her a symbol of courage across the Soviet Union. Captured in 1943, this rare photo shows pilots of the 102nd Guards Fighter Aviation Regiment, an elite Soviet air unit forged in the crucible of World War II. Among them stood legendary female aces, who defied gravity and expectations, rewriting history with every mission they flew over the Eastern Front. In 1937 Moscow, a group of Soviet athletes stands proud, their bodies sculpted by discipline and ideology. These men and women weren't just sportspeople, they were symbols of Stalin's vision, where physical strength mirrored political might. Behind their smiles lay a nation pushing its limits for global recognition. Amid the uncertainty of 1940 Russia, a man stands surrounded by a group of children, their eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and caution. Wartime shadows loomed, but moments like this still captured warmth and human connection. In a world torn by conflict, this quiet scene whispered of innocence trying to survive. Nicholas II of Russia stands in 1912, wearing the ornate uniform of the Lifeguards 4th Rifle Regiment, a unit traditionally tied to the imperial family. With a composed expression and regal posture, He represents a fading era just 5 years before revolution would end centuries of Romanov rule. This portrait feels both grand and tragically prophetic. In this 1928 portrait, Mikhail Bulgakov, author of The Master and Margarita, sits with a penetrating gaze, exuding both intellect and defiance. His sharp features and formal attire reflect the weight of an artist navigating Stalinist repression. Behind those eyes is a man who cloaked truth in satire, surviving censorship through brilliance and subtle rebellion. Amid the shattered ruins of Berlin in 1945, Russian soldiers pose with solemn pride and weary eyes. Victory over Nazi Germany was hard-won. Etched into their faces are months of brutal combat. This photo marks not just a military triumph, but the beginning of a complex Soviet legacy in post-war Europe. Dressed in crisp white nurse uniforms, the Romanov sisters and their mother, Serena Alexandra, tended to wounded soldiers in a military hospital during World War I. Far from royal luxury, they cleaned wounds and offered comfort, trying to serve a crumbling empire with compassion. Their quiet service would not spare them from tragedy. With piercing eyes and a calm demeanor, Semyon Nomokonov crouched in the snow, his smoking pipe clenched between his teeth, a Boryat hunter turned Soviet sniper. He used instincts honed in the wilderness to claim over 360 enemy kills during World War II. The pipe became his symbol, steady and deadly accurate. Saint John of Kronstadt, a revered Russian Orthodox priest, became a spiritual beacon for millions in late 19th century Russia. Known for his healing prayers, tireless service to the poor, and powerful sermons, he turned Kronstadt's parish into a center of faith and compassion. His legacy endures as a symbol of holiness in turbulent times. Maria Dolina, a fearless Soviet pilot and squadron commander during World War II, flew over 70 bombing missions against Nazi forces in 1945. She was named a hero of the Soviet Union for her bravery under fire and leadership in critical air raids. Her calm defiance in the skies made her a symbol of female courage in Soviet aviation history. Tank driver Mikhail Smirnov, photographed in 1944, was among the brave Soviet soldiers who operated armored vehicles on the Eastern Front. His resolute expression reflects the grueling, close combat reality of tank warfare. Men like Smirnov helped push back the Nazi advance, often fighting in smoke-filled steel beasts across shattered landscapes. Captured in 1914, this haunting photo of a reaper evokes both toil and tension. On the brink of World War I, the solitary figure, scythe in hand, stands amid tall crops, symbolizing not only the harvest of grain, but ominously, the impending harvest of human lives as Europe marched toward unprecedented bloodshed. A quiet, almost eerie stillness surrounds this early 1900s photo of the Sisters of Charity at lunch in the Urbovets community. Seated in rows, their identical habits and solemn faces create an atmosphere of rigid discipline and silent obedience. It's as if time itself paused to witness their unwavering devotion, or something darker, hidden in plain sight. History isn't just found in books, it lingers in frozen faces, forgotten rituals, and quiet corners of time. These haunting glimpses remind us how much has changed, and how much still echoes. If these images spoke to you, subscribe and uncover the stories hidden in the shadows of the past.